Hey guys, and welcome back to our Stars and Stripes and Maple Syrup. We have Anthony Stephenson, originally a Samson the Cat inhabitant, currently living in Wyoming. Anthony, thank you for joining me.
Hey mate, how you doing?
Dude, I'm doing so well. What a game. What a set of results.
It was unreal. Didn't look like it was going to happen. Half time, I think we're all a little, subdued. And then what a second 45 minutes for everything. Fair play to Blackburn who didn't give up and came back. And our boys, it sparked it with that Diallo screamer in the top corner. And fair play to those boys. 22 average age, just fucking men above boys. And we were absolutely class second half today.
I mean, I didn't think we had a bad first half, I'll be honest with you. We could have been, it could have been 2-1, 2-2, 3-3. It was an even first half, I think. I think if you look at the sitter that Delap missed on his one-on-one through on Patterson,
Yeah.
he just puts it wide of the post, and then Gelhardt's one-on-one with the keeper, and the keeper makes a good save for it. I think if he'd just been able to loft that just even a few inches higher than he got on it, that would have been 1-0. But looking back, no, there were no bad games. It was just a thoroughly good performance from the club.
Yeah, it was, absolute class. And when we got going, there was only going to be one winner. I think once they went 1-0 down, it was in our hands from our point of view. They never looked like they were going to get back into it. But for the result to go our way from where we were at halftime is just absolutely incredible, man. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the tide started to turn just before halftime. I think the fact that Borough got a goal in injury time at the end of the first half kind of kicked it for us. I was thinking, okay, well, Borough can get another against Coventry. That shouldn't be too difficult for them. They've been scoring for fun this season, and it would be the typical Coventry thing to do to themselves to shoot themselves in the foot. Obviously, Blackburn were 3-1 down. We're like, well, there's bollock all chance of them messing this up, and they did. They summoned the shit out of that.
Yeah. I honestly thought Borough would have got a second, but I thought that was the result we were going to need. And we did our part with getting the 3 goals, but I honestly thought Borough would have got a second. I didn't think Blackburn were coming back after the start that Millwall had in their match. I just didn't think that was the possibility. But hey, we got it. It's unreal. The season's not over yet.
Yeah, and look, Bowen not getting a second cost me 1,100 quid. So when we knew what we needed last weekend, I was like, all right, 25 quid on Borough, Sunderland, and Blackburn win. And the way that Carl gave it to me, I put it on as a treble, and then I added some other thing, and the odds jumped, and I was like, okay, that works for me. So I was begging for a Middlesbrough win, but you know what? $1,100 or 1,100 quid or playoff berth. I'll take the playoff berth. Even if we
Yeah.
don't beat Luton over 2 legs or we get beaten in the final, it's been a hell of a season.
I think, what we've gone through, more than the League One years and the championship season and all that. The football this year, mate, from these boys has been absolutely class. It's just, we had the blip in the middle where everybody thought, we weren't going for it. The season was over. But the football we've played this year, some of the, it's been rivaled against Barcelona's like tiki taka, and it's just been absolutely class. For not having an out and out striker or a central defender over the last few weeks and months, and the football's just been immense. It's like it's enjoyable to watch.
To speak to that football, if you look at the passage of play that led to Echo nearly scoring.
Yeah.
The speed and the accuracy when Sunderland are doing that, and again, look, goals against Reading, which I still can't believe wasn't goal of the season for the EFL. We've scored about 8, 9, 10 goals that could have been on a short list for goal of the season any other year.
Yeah, we've played the beautiful football goals. There's even like I think 2 of them today was like even great, like build up before we even put a screamer in. And then we've scored some screamers through the season. Ahmad scored a few belters through, like from the outside of the box this year. We really could have, like, the club's goal of the month competition is going to be great watching by like the time they produce it, because we've scored some absolute pearlers this year.
I mean, look, just look at the last game out. Watford, the 95th minute. That goal from Roberts is every bit as much reason why we're in the playoffs as the Equa penalty that everyone else was saying was costing us the playoff position.
Yeah.
Now, there have been so many players this year who've just stepped up, just got on with it. And look, I hold my hands up. I was looking for a quiet season. No major thrills, no major disappointments. I would have been happy with a top 15 finish, but sixth. I mean, I think I insulted Sean and told him he was on crack when he thought we could make the playoffs at the beginning of the year. So apologies to Sean. Sean was going to be on today with us, but he's taking care of some personal issues, so he'll be on for the playoffs. How are we in the playoffs?
I don't know. As you said, consolidation, start building this young squad, see what we can do down the road, maybe go for it next year if possible. But it's been an incredible ride. As you said, everybody was thought, it's over, but the last, I think, 8 games unbeaten now?
Yeah.
We've crept over the line to get us in there right on the last year. Like, what a last year of the season. If you were a neutral, you probably enjoyed that. But those last 30 minutes, like, I couldn't sit still. I was pacing the living room. The dogs didn't know what to do. It was absolutely fucking incredible, mate. And, if we lose over the 2 legs or we lose in the final, it can only be like onwards and upwards for us right now. I think we're in the best position we've been in a long time.
I think we really have to be sensible in this. If you look at the plight of MK Dons this season, we finished 3rd in League One last season, but knocked out in the playoffs from Wycombe and got relegated to League Two this year.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because it's the kind of thing that Sunderland would do. But yeah, I mean, I just look at that performance, and yeah, look, it could have gone either way in the first half. I think Preston showed how to play against us, especially given that we don't have any real central defenders. And Mowbray said it in his interview. He had to get on it, Hume and O'Nien to use their voices to make people know where they were. But that team talk, he must have been pulled out of like Rudy and every other sports movie where there's a big team talk.
Yeah.
Because the way they came out in the second half, and I mean, it was 3 goals in a space of 10 minutes. Yeah.
10 minutes, yeah.
3 in 10 minutes. But when we're in that form, there's just not like, look, Burnley and Sheffield United have got up, and rightfully so this season. But when we're playing that football and we're passing it around, I don't think there's a team can live with us in this division.
No. Even I've got a mate who's a Burnley fan, and he said the best team he's watched play against this year was the first half against us at the Stadium of Light, and then the 0-0 game down there, because he said either team could have won it.
I'm still shocked. I mean, normally we do these podcasts the day after the match or a couple of days depending on people's schedules. But it's like 1:30 New York time here in the US. The match finished an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, and I'm still buzzing. I'm just glad that I don't have to work, so I can not have to go. So I can't imagine after this. And I know you got some grief for taking today off work and missing your daughter's sports day this week. But my understanding is your daughter won't get into the Premier League if she wins her sports day.
No, she won't. And I think after the playoffs last year and not being able to go back for the final and then get offered a ticket 2 days before and turning it down, I think my missus understands it more than she's ever done. And we're trying to decide which kid I'll sell. if we do get to the final, so I can be back there.
Well, I'll leave that decision down to you and the wife.
It's
Look,
down to my boy.
just 12 months ago, I mean, we were unsure that we had enough to get past Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah.
And 12 months on, I'm quietly confident. I think we can take Luton.
I think, honestly, if we get a chance, and get a couple of goals early, I think we can win it. And even like, when we played Borough at the Stadium of Light this year, now I think we were shit down at the Riverside, but at the Stadium of Light, the second half, I know they had a man sent off, but we were top quality, especially as you said, when we keep the ball. There's no one who we can't play against in that division right now. Not a team.
Especially when you're looking at that little triumvirate, and it's Diallo and Roberts, and then it doesn't matter whether it's Gooch or Hume who steps into that little triangle offense type thing, as Americans would call it. And the ball moves around so quickly. Just the speed of thought is something like we've had good wingers before. I'm like thinking of players like Summerby and Johnston and Mickey Gray got pushed up, and we've had players who've been clever on the ball. I don't remember having so many just skillful players.
The difference between, me and you agree, probably that time with Reedy's team was probably one of the best times as a Sunderland fan. It was enjoyable to watch. They were real wingers, like put the ball in the box, go past somebody. These boys are different. They're not necessarily put the ball in the box. It's like, keep the ball for 5 or 6 passes between the two of them, and then play a needle pass through, and they're in on goal, and a jink inside and a shot, or a little, what I call a FIFA goal, is cut it back and tap it in, but still both enjoyable to watch, both eras. That late 90s team and this this team we've got now, different kinds of football, but enjoyable, like just the same.
Yeah. I mean, look, they irritated, like Clark and Roberts equally irritated the shit out of me with cutting back in last season and then knocking the ball over the bar. And I knew they'd be better on a game by game basis this year because they wouldn't have the cloggers knocking them the way they did last season. But honestly, I'm blown away by those two lads. And Ahmadu came in as well. Like, I just can't tell you enough about this team. I really can't.
Ahmad took his time to get settled down and settled in. But once he did, and that you can tell when him and Roberts are on the field. I honestly think they're better when both of them are playing. We've seen times when Roberts has been on the bench and we've looked disjointed, playing through the middle of the park and out on the right. But when those two are together, he's definitely going to be a big miss at the next season, no matter what division we're in.
I mean, look, I've lost my train of thought already. I mean, it's just I'm buzzing. I really am. That was it. I think the biggest credit today, beyond the players, was Mowbray. Serkin comes off at halftime. His ankle apparently swollen up, and he wasn't able to move it. And he doesn't bring on a defensive play. He brings on Pritchard for Serkin. That's kind of a big balls movement.
Yeah, it's I'm hoping it's just a little temporary thing with the next game's coming up pretty quick. But Serkin is a different player. He's he gives us width. He gives us an attacking opportunity, which we saw down at West Brom. So when he's in the team, we definitely look better going forward because he gives us that extra body. Yeah. Where we've got Gucci on the right side, who's naturally an attacking player. So even though we haven't had we've lost Big Ross all season, we found ways of still scoring goals, and there's only the Burnley game where we haven't scored one, which is unbelievable, seeing that you haven't had what they call an out-and-out striker for 5 months.
Let's have a look. So Burnley was 0-0. Dude. Cardiff City, November the 5th. We got beat 1-0.
That was the only other time we haven't scored this year. Like,
no, we didn't score. But so Cardiff, Blackburn, and Burnley. Oh, we drew 0-0 with Blackpool at the beginning, and Preston 0-0. But yeah, once we got on that run, I mean, under Mowbray, I think Mowbray's first game was the Borough game.
yeah, I think so. And we weren't great that day.
Oh, awful that day. That was the first time I thought all season we hadn't shown up. But yeah, I mean, there were not many performances this season. Like when you look at games where we just weren't at the races, you think maybe second half against Burnley, home at Stoke, away at Borough. I think other than that, we've been competitive for most of the games.
Yeah, absolutely. And we look good. Like away from the stadium, we obviously look better because that's where we've got the majority of our points from. I think it's just the freedom of playing away from home. And, I think we've definitely been a second half team this year. We've lost some big points, but we've also gained a lot more where we've been out of it or we haven't played well. And then like today, we got a goal out of nowhere. And it really was. It was just an impromptu strike from Diallo, and it's gone into the top corner. And then we seem to rise our game. It's typical Sunderland. We need a goal to get us going. And then, like what today proved, like once we get that first goal, there's no slowing us down. There's no.
I think by the time we got to that first goal, I think a goal was definitely coming because Pritchard had gone through, and he tried the clever back flick to kind of open up the goal,
put it on his left,
and slipped over. And I was just begging him to shoot. I mean, it was definitely coming. I mean, I'm looking at the stats now as a full-time thing, and we bossed possession, we bossed shots, and we had 16 shots, and in addition to the 3 goals we scored, we had 2 of the big chances. I think you're looking at Ekwa and Joffrey there as players, but we've done it cleanly as well. We only fouled once all game.
Yeah. Which is, unusual. People, because we're such a small, they call us an unphysical team, but even the likes of Mishu and, O'Nien, I never thought, and I'll put my hands up, I never thought Luke was a championship player.
No, I didn't either. I thought we got rid of the wrong player at the beginning of the season when we let Winchester go out on loan.
Yeah.
But that boy, solid.
It's not in the same mold as Kevin Ball, not close, but he's got that kind of southern lad, plays for the club, has fell in love with the club, and is going to do anything he can. And he said, I loved his little interview during the week on the club's website.
He's in the car.
Yeah, and he's talking about how he knew he would love Sunderland because of how the Sunderland fans would cheer a tackle just like they would cheer a goal. And it's true because we've done it. You've been to Royal Roker Park and John Keir, Kevin Ball putting somebody in the clock stand paddock. And, he would cheer that louder sometimes than cheering a goal. But he's proved me absolutely wrong, mate. His heart and soul is to do whatever he can. Is he the best technical player we've got? He's not even close. But he literally will put his body on the line for everything that we're doing. And, if there was, probably an underrated player of the season after the club's awards recently and the supporters awards, I would probably give it to O'Nien because he's been absolutely class. And it doesn't matter where he'll play. He'll put his shirt on and play anywhere. Yeah,
the commentator was talking about that in the match. Was talking about how he played at most positions. He came to the club as an attacking midfield player, settled as a defensive midfield player. This season he's played right back, centre half. And he said, I think the only place he hasn't, and he's been begging Mowbray apparently to play him up front. And the only place he hasn't really played is in goal this end. But going back to today's game, I think Preston were poor in that second half, like really, really poor. And if you look at the way that Watford scored against us last week with aerial bombardments, only 10 duels, 11 duels, like aerial duels in the game. And we won more than half of them.
Yeah.
Like when you put a team of munchkins. Because, I mean, there's very few of them above 5'9".
Right.
Even fewer who are 6 foot. I mean, you shouldn't be losing out to a team that short in the air.
No. And I think, it definitely, I mean, they literally downed tools, I think is the best way to say it, after they went 1-0 down. They did it, that was the manager's big complaint from the week before, is they literally just didn't show up. And I think once we got the first one, they just down tools again. But, I think the biggest thing for me for this year, mate, is, and, towards the end of last season as well, was, we have a team that's, tiny in size, build, physically inept to some of these big, Millwall with that big physical team that were just a bully team. But we've got that desire. It doesn't care if, Hume's up against somebody who's 6'2", 6'3". He's still going to go up against them. It doesn't matter. He's just got that desire to win the ball. And as a Sunderland fan, to see that makes me immensely happy and proud. And, to see these boys just fight for everything. Even Diallo, like there was a couple of times today, that lad chased back and put his foot in, and he scrapped for everything, where you didn't see him do it at the start of the season, but he's literally fighting for everything. And at the end, when the whistle blew and you see him tapping the badge on his chest when he was walking towards the Sunderland fans, was absolutely fantastic. Seeing that he's not even technically our player.
No, I agree with you. And on an interview after the match, when asked about his future, he said, "I don't know, maybe I'll come back." So,
yes, please.
But look, I mean, I thought we were going to be screwed today. When Millwall went 1-0 up, and it turns out Watmore was the scorer, and then you got the former Newcastle goalkeeper pulled off a worldie from Ahmad, and I'm like, and he pulled off a few really good saves in that first half. It's just not going to be our day. It's just going to be one of those days where our former players and our big rivals' former players just screw us. But,
all right.
Well, props to Mowbray. He wasn't my choice as manager at the beginning of the season. I was vocal about that.
I don't think anybody's choice over it,
I'm equally as vocal of the fact that he has been absolutely phenomenal. And it wouldn't surprise me. Look, if we don't go up and we've got another season in the Championship to look forward to next season, it wouldn't be a bad season by any means, stretch of the imagination. But I can see those top clubs, your Arsenals, your Liverpool, your Man United, like reaching out proactively to someone and saying, "Look, we'd love it if you would take such and such on loan. We've seen what you guys are doing with your young kids, and we'd like you guys to develop this or this player."
All right. And I think that's where we're going to go. And if, we've seen it with Jack Clark. Jack Clark got a lot of criticism during the middle of the season where he wasn't as productive, but he kept at it. We know what Jack Clark's all about. And, you can't take any of these reports that he's linked with this team or this team. I know what the club's model is, but, why would you want to break this team up right now? I think we're onto something big, mate. I really honestly do believe that.
And the fact that it's not funded by Saudi blood money makes it even better.
Yeah.
Well, look, let's talk about Jack Clark, because they said he had a trough where he wasn't scoring. Well, that's not his job. Like, he's a winger. His job's to be creating. And he's been fairly consistent throughout the season. Look, he's played a lot of football this year. And yeah, look, there may be times when he had a couple of less than 100% games. But I don't think I think when I remember thinking when the criticism came out, I was like, these guys just like, some of our fans, like, they're worse than mags at times.
Yeah.
Because like I saw them talking about 10 million for Clark. You're not getting Clark for 10 million. I'm sorry, you're not. That's what Tottenham paid. Who did they pay? They didn't pay Leeds. We picked them. Yeah, Tottenham paid Leeds 10 million for him, didn't they?
I think so, yeah.
And I know that I think we're into him for 2.5 in payments, plus 40% of the profit. And it doesn't make sense to sell him for 10 million. Like,
right now.
With the model, it's like it's not a good model. And with the club having released their full financial statement recently, yeah, look, it was League One numbers, but look, we've been, what, 39,000 average attendance this year.
Yeah.
So if you think an extra 10,000 a week, an extra 30 quid a week, that's a big chunk of change increase in match day revenue this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't think we're not in a position where we're having to flog players for any offer that comes in. I think it's Brentford and Palace who've been linked with Clark so far. I think they're going to have to dig a lot deeper than 10 million. I've got to be honest, if they want him.
I agree for his productivity. You know what? Double figures for goals, over double figures for double figures as well for assists. Without a recognized striker to do that, I think they need at least double it.
Yeah. So, but let's talk about those goals. Let's talk about Ahmad's was just
opportunistic.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that looks phenomenal, but when you realize all he's done is really just stuck out a boot and hope for the best, because the ball came at him so fast, he didn't really have a chance to think about it.
And so he just put his foot through it, and it's absolutely flew in. I know we've seen him score goals from the Wigan goal. Still sticks with me, the one on his left foot, and he drills it into the far left-hand corner. But yeah, I think you're right on this one. I think it was more of like, I'm going to have a go. It was an instant. He didn't even think about it. And it's absolutely flown in. The keeper reacted late because it was such an optimistic shot. And it's gone in. It's absolutely flown in, mate. But we'll take it.
Woodman wasn't far away from getting that one either. Like, he was close to that. And I was like, that's the kind of strike it was going to take to beat him today.
Right.
And until that point, like, I thought it was going to take something special. But then once that's happened, as you said, they down tools and they were disappointing for the remainder of the game. I love the build-up for the second. Looking at the intricate passing movements, which opened up the space for Pritchard. And you can see the keeper knew that Pritchard had Roberts in miles of space to his right. So he was kind of edging towards his right. And for him just to make it look he's making that pass, but just hold the ball and just curl it round.
He's reversed it. Everybody looked like he was either going to go to the keeper's bottom right, lay it off to Roberts, but he's reversed the shot into the far left-hand corner. And it was I think he gave the keeper the eyes, is what we used to say when we used to coach. He looked like that's where we was going. Keeper didn't even move when the shot went.
I mean, that was the easy pass. Roberts is an acres of space on the edge of the 6-yard box. All you gotta do is just slip it into him and let him blast it with the inside of his foot past the keeper, and we'd have been 2-0 up anyway. So I thought that was a really good goal. And then Clark cutting in and bending it around the edge, around the keeper's grip into the corner of the net was a lovely goal again.
Yeah, just I think there were 3 good goals. I commented on our on the chat that we have on Facebook with the supporters group. And that says we're trying to create our own goal of the month competition just for today. But if you include Roberts' strike from last week on top of that, our last 4 goals have been quality.
Well, when was the last time we scored a tap in off the top of your head? See, I was down in Florida. Was I down in Florida last week? When was the last week I didn't get to see the match?
No, not really. I think from, Joffrey's goal a couple of weeks ago when he literally went through and pushed it through was probably close to a tap-in that we've had in the last few weeks.
But we haven't had many this season.
No. I mean, they've been you've seen close range finishes, Serkins down at West Brom, but that was more due with, when he drilled it in from close range, the second one.
Yeah.
But that was more to do with, the intricate play in and around the box and that beautiful little tap in from Mishu into Pritchard and then into Cirque, and then it wasn't a tap in, he literally fired it in the roof of the net with a slight deflection.
Yeah, I mean, we've scored such nice goals this season. We've played such nice football. I mean, look, the only negative on the season is we've conceded as many goals as we have.
Yeah. I think most of it's down. There's been that stretch when everybody said the wheels coming off. Mowbray's not the right person. We went through that spell where we weren't getting a result. And I think most of it's come from that. But honestly, it was, and I said, no matter what, what happens, this team has done incredibly well. And then we picked it back up again. And I mean, mate, I'll throw my hands up. I didn't expect us to finish in the playoffs this year. I'm like yourself.
No,
A season without any stress, without any worry, is probably the first thing that Sunderland fans would really need to say, okay, that's all right. What can we do now? But now we're in the playoffs, and I don't care if we're not ready for the Premiership. We're in a position where none of us expected to be. Only the very optimistic Sunderland fan at the start of the season said, we can make the playoffs, we can go up. I'm going to take whatever we can get now, because this is just a bonus. We're going to have a sold-out Stadium of Light in the next week. We'll take whatever Luton get us. We've got a chance to do something unbelievable, and it is what it is. If we don't make it, screw it, fuck that shit. I'm happy with how the season's gone, and it's something to build on. Some of those boys, I'm hoping that we sign Mishu. Barr, when he comes on, looks like he's going to play the part when he develops. We keep Roberts, we keep Clark. We've got the catalyst for something wonderful for the next few years.
Can I just say, Ekwa today was outstanding.
Aye, that was my man of the match, was Pierre Ekwa.
I mean, he took some shit at the whole game, and I thought the shit he took was over the top. And again, it's just I think the Twitter generation of Sunderland fans is just embarrassing at times.
Well, you got to think the lad had never played a fucking professional game, and step into a team that's challenging for the playoffs. And today he's going to be that holding midfielder that we are going to love. That's going to put in a tackle who can actually play. Like his feet today, some of his little pirouettes on the ball, get out of trouble. It's fucking amazing. And if anybody's got a Sunderland fan that's got a problem with him, literally need to sit down and just watch today's game, because he was absolutely class.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't fault him. I mean, I think the whole team as a whole was a little bit off the pace. They weren't quite there in the first half. But again, I mean, with the exception of that 1-on-1 for Paris, and then there was the header when we were already 3-0 up. Patterson cleared off the line, and then Clark overhead kicked it to safety. That was the only real danger. I mean, I can't remember thinking that Preston were going to do much. No,
there was just that 1-on-1 that they had that he really should have scored. But yeah, I mean, they didn't create a lot. I mean, they threw a lot of balls in the box. I think it was the West Brom game, where early doors they started throwing a lot of high balls into the box to think they were going to win that battle. But as we've said already, the desire from our lads is there, where they're going to, if they can't head it, they're not going to let them get a clean header on it.
Yeah.
And it's just the desire was there from everybody. And, as I said, once we got that first goal, it was never going to be wasn't going to look like it was never going to be our day. It was just, if one of those other results was going to go our way, which, until Blackburn came back, it didn't look like it was going to happen.
I thought that's what was going to screw us. But before I jump into that, let me ask you, should we have had a penalty in the first half when Joffrey went through?
No.
No?
No. There's when I've gone through refereeing classes and coaching back in the old days, they're going to look for the ball to be under control to try to give the penalty. The ball was honestly, as a Sunderland fan, I would always say, yeah, give me the penalty. But as a former coach and all this stuff, the ball wasn't under control. It was away for him. Yes, the leg was out there. It might be a free kick on the edge, on anywhere else on the pitch, but the ref's never going to give it, just because when he was going over, the ball's gone through to the keeper. And I would love to see him give it, don't get me wrong, but I don't think they would give it for that reason.
I'm going to disagree with you, because I think if that was in the Premier League, I think if that ball was Salah running on to a ball, and I mean, look, he just stepped in his way and left his foot and just planted himself. He had no intention of getting the ball. He had nowhere near the ball, and Joffrey couldn't avoid it. I think, if not awarded initially, VAR saying, "Look, you got to go take a look at that."
Yeah, I'm just glad it didn't cost us. Let's put it that way.
Definitely. But yeah, dude. I mean, we're in the playoffs.
Yep, we are. Fucking come on. Now I've got to find a reason to get Saturday morning off work.
Well, I'm done with work now until I get down to the new place, so I don't have to worry about that. Although don't let the wife hear me say that. Fortunately, she doesn't watch this. But no, I mean, I had said that if we get to Wembley, then I'll head back up to New York and watch it in New York. But I've got a neighborhood thing that I'm supposed to be going to because I'm hosting our house for that. So,
all right,
bugging off to New York and upsetting the wife on that one as well.
With the amount of trips I've got, I just got back from New York this last week, and we've got San Antonio coming up this year, and see everybody down there, and then obviously back up to New Mexico for the game up there. Yeah, like I've already said, try and find out which kid I'm selling if we do make it to get back and watch it, but we'll see.
All right, so let's take a look at the top six as it is. So obviously Burnley went up, Sheffield joined them. We've got Luton over 2 legs now. Both games against Luton this season were 1-1 draws.
Yeah.
Can we get past them?
Yes.
Do we get?
I think it needs to be, obviously, with our home form. Stadium of Light's going to obviously be sold out. Need to keep it tight at the Stadium of Light, but the way we play with freedom away from home, I think is going to be the key. So I think, is the first leg at home or is it away?
Home leg first, away second.
So I think we'll take a draw at the Stadium of Light.
All right, give me your prediction.
1-1.
Okay, that'll be the third 1-1 against them in the season.
And then we'll win 2-1 down there.
And we win 2-1 at Kenilworth Road.
Yep.
So you've got us going through 3-1 on aggregate. I don't want to be negative. I think we'll win 1-0 at home. But I think we'll lose 2-0 away. And that, again, for me, that's still an amazing season.
Oh, it's been class, mate.
And I think even getting knocked out of the playoffs and not getting to Wembley is a phenomenal achievement for the season. I mean, from where we've been over the last 5 or 6 years, I know Sean jokes that Kirill Lewis-Dreyfus is a fake and he's skint. But the way he's put the club back on the right track, he's appointing the right people. That they seem to be putting things back the way it should have always been.
Right.
I know we're still looking at the marketing side of the business, and the retail side of the business has been lacking severely. But
yeah, I
would much rather they got it right in the pitch first than had the club shop open 7 days a week.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if everything gets right on the pitch, that's what brings people back. The attendances at the Stadium of Light have proved that. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've been trying to buy stuff on the club's website for months that's been out of stock, or they just don't have the right size.
On that one, the red tracksuit top that they came out in today, like the retro Leeds United Cup final, that's a tiny piece of kit.
Yep, I want it.
Yeah, and they've got so few sizes. I think they've just got smalls and an extra large left. So this fat bastard here is not going to get one.
Even with the Nike sizes of getting into an extra large, you saw how small the kits were this year, so it ain't even dare me buying an extra large.
Yeah, well, I'm wearing this year's kit, but it's okay like this high up, but that shirt, like it's not friendly.
The tube top?
Yeah, it's still better than the I've got the England rugby kit, and that's like putting a fucking corset on. Like it's great on the top. Like I've got like a decent sized shoulders and stuff, but like I hold all my weight in my gut. So it's like I
Right.
can get it down to about here, and then I'm really like pushing. So it's not that bad. But do we have Nike again next season, or is this the end of the commercial deal with them?
I've heard this is the last year. I've heard all kinds of bullshit, but I think this is the last year.
Right, look, I would love for a retro Hummel to come out because I look at the kits that Hummel put out, and they put out some nice stuff.
Yeah.
I heard rumors of Puma being involved, or Puma, sorry. Look, as long as they don't fuck up the away kit and do a
Hoping
stupid.
it just fits this year, so
Yeah.
I don't have to give it anybody else. Because apparently the club's return policy is shit if you live anywhere else other than in the
In Sunderland.
UK.
Yeah. Yeah, I would never send my tops back. But yeah, at least I know I've got matching hats for all of my Sunderland tops.
There you go.
I heard that. I did see a rumor over the weekend that that purple and pink hoopy thing that we had.
The Adidas one.
Yeah, that was the rumor that the away strip was going to be modeled off for next season, but it's probably people who are like, "Oh, I know what's going on," and they really have no clue.
I always just believe it when I see it.
Yeah, look, dude, I'm just jacked. I mean, I don't want to go up. I don't think we're anywhere near ready for the Premiership. I think just like Peter Reid's first season, we'd come straight back down. But dude, I'm enjoying this ride.
Mate, when was the last time you enjoyed our football this much? That's what I've asked a couple of other Sunderland fans recently. It's just like, fuck it, if we lose, we don't go up, whatever. But like, how many times have you enjoyed like watching us this year where, when we got relegated from the Championship, you dreaded watching a match. And like fucking those days when I was glad at work and I couldn't watch the games on. Now I'm trying to find every fucking excuse not to go to work and watch the matches on TV. And, it just shows you what we are, because we're still a big draw. How many matches we've had on ESPN for us this year? There's been I think it's like almost 20 games.
I think I heard 19. There were a lot because I know that the 150 quid that I dropped on the season pass for Sunderland this year wasn't great value.
Yeah, and that's why I never got it, because I just had it was a feeling. But I paid, I think, was it $10 a month for ESPN Plus, and I've definitely got my money's worth out of that one this year.
See, I do the ESPN Disney Hulu bundle for 15.
Yeah,
I get my ESPN Plus. I get to see those games, and I really haven't to worry about it. But it's been such a good season to watch. It really has.
It's been class, mate. The football, the desire, the goals we've scored, seeing the stadium alive, being fuller than we've seen in recent years. And as I said already, wherever we go from now can only be up. I think the model is right to do what we need to do. And if we, get promoted, not necessarily this year, but over the next couple of years, and then, sustain ourselves in the Premier League, and we have developed these young kids, it's gonna be a hell of a ride.
And look, I mean, look at this club. I mean, when you think that when you look at it, we thought, okay, all we got to do is beat Watford. They're not playing well. They've had so many managers this season. It shouldn't be easy, difficult. Everything's in like 2 wins and we're up. We're in the playoffs. That's no problem. And then we play so poorly against Watford over the course of the game, and it's that screamer that kind of brought us back into it. After that, it was just something I was like, you know what, I think we can do it.
All right.
And again, it's not that I wanted to do it because I have so many fears about the quality in the Premier League and what we would need to do and breaking up some of the morale in the team. But yeah, I'm like, I don't want the season to end. Like, I'm quite happy to just play back-to-back championship seasons and just keep winning.
Yeah, and the doom and gloom merchants can literally shut themselves up.
I mean, I try not to curse on this because I don't want to have to get like a YouTube adult content thing, but some of these bedwetters and knee jerkers are just awful fans. Like I'm like, it's like I liken them to the guys who leave like 10 minutes before the end of the game to miss the rush, and I'm like, I don't understand it.
Right.
There's a certain thing like, look, I've never been the most optimistic fan in the world. I mean, we've known each other 20 years, and optimism is not really something you would link with me.
No.
Man, I look forward to like. I canceled the training call this morning so I could sit and watch the match. And it's like I just had a good feeling. I never have good feelings about Sunderland because every time in my life I've had a good feeling about Sunderland, they've shat on it.
Right.
But yeah, I'm confident. I think we have the ability to get past Luton. I think it's just going to be a hurdle too far personally. But dude, I'll be cheering us on as loud as anybody.
That's it. I mean, everything that we've got now is a bonus, mate. Just getting promoted, and that's what a lot of people don't realize is, you know, we've just got back into the Championship after 4 years out of it. The football's brilliant to watch. It really, it's absolutely class. I get excited to watch the match again, which is probably the biggest thing I can ever see. Like, you know, the years when we got relegated from Premiership to Championship, you know, the back end of like the League One seasons when we didn't get promotion and we lost in the playoffs, you dreaded those. But now I'm excited to watch the match. Was I, you know, nerves absolutely shot this morning? Absolutely. I'm 4 beers deep in at 9 o'clock in the morning. But once the goals started going in and then Blackburn started scoring, it was like, oh my God.
That was the biggest,
honestly,
Blackburn scoring as many as they did was the big shocker for me.
Yeah, because they're not a team that score many goals.
No, and they struggle so much. But Brereton Diaz with 2, and the Blackburn keeper made a cracking save right before Blackburn's goal, like to win it.
Yeah,
like I thought Millwall, because they were just pounding in the ball in the box. I thought Blackburn are going to give it up here. I really did, because as I said, I had the big screen behind me. That was a Sunderland match. I had my iPad with the Borough match on to my left, and then my cell phone was on the right with the Blackburn match. And I'm like,
It was. I was like relying on you boys because I'm watching the match on the TV in the house, and then with our chat for the supporters branch, and it was pretty much, you know, checked. It was a ping. It was like, all right, Millwall's winning. It's 1-1, and then they went 3-1 up, and I'm just like, oh shit. And that second half will be something that any Sunderland fan will remember like fondly for a long time now.
I think the way that the game swung in that second half, from us taking the lead to Millwall getting pegged back by a goal and then getting pegged back level, and then Blackburn taking the lead in that last 5 minutes, it was like because they were a couple of minutes ahead of us the way that the second half kicked off, and so by the time Blackburn equalised, there was only 6 minutes of play left plus the 4 they ended up playing. And I'm gonna be honest, I was relaxed for that last 10 minutes. I was like, my nerves were, especially right up until they took the lead, and I was just like, it just kind of like just a cool wave just kind of came over me, and I was just like, dude, we're done it.
That was what it was. I think when, you know, we're 3-0 up, and when it was 3-3, you always got that crap little thing in your mind. And when then Blackburn scored the 4th, it was like shit, because you know Millwall had to score 2.
Yeah.
And I think that's when I was just like the same thing. I think we've done it. I can't believe it. We've absolutely done it. And that was the big thing. As you said, you could actually enjoy the last few minutes of it. You know, I was watching the clips of and like all the different feeds from the Sunderland fans in there, and you could kind of feel like you were there, but not. You know, but you could enjoy those last few minutes because you knew Millwall had to score 2. It didn't care with what with the Coventry Borough game was going on. We were comfortably winning. It was probably the most un-Sunderland thing that we've ever had to deal with because it was pretty much shit. I think we've actually got it.
Yeah, well, as I say, 4-3 up with 5 or 6 minutes to go with it, including their injury time. Knowing that we still had 5 minutes plus our injury time to go, it was just like, I'm just enjoying this now.
Yeah, it was class, mate. It was absolutely class. And
now look, Joffrey had a couple of opportunities where he definitely should have scored, and one maybe where he should have done better.
Yeah.
As we're recording this right now, Brighton and Everton are playing, and Everton are kicking the shit out of Brighton. They're 4-1 up with a couple of minutes to go. It drops Leeds. There's a minute and a half to go. It drops Leeds into the relegation zone. Now, from what I'm hearing, if Leeds go down, they keep Joffrey. They build their team around Gelhardt up front. If not, then they don't think he's Premier League quality just yet. And I think he gets a full season with us. Would be a good move for him.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's played out of position this year, and he got a lot of shit when he first started. But I think he had to adjust and had to adapt, and his work where it was class. I mean, I think it was the West Brom game where I saw him like chasing back and fighting for everything, and that's what he's used to doing. And then, but if we have someone like, like Big Ross still with us, which you're hoping he signs a new contract, that he can break that play up and then link up with Stewart and then actually build up that partnership. And I actually think we can see what the best of his position actually is, because he's not an out-and-out target striker, even though he really is a small lad, but he's very physical.
Yeah, no, I like the way he puts himself about. I enjoy watching him this season. And again, I think the idiots are giving him grief. And again, he was getting shit in our chat this morning as well. And it's just like, look, the keeper pulled off a good save. It went past the keeper and it was like bobbled underneath him. But yeah, I think he's been a good addition to the side. I don't think we'd be going up if he hadn't been in the squad. I mean, especially as we wouldn't have had anybody at the forward. But yeah, I mean, look, it's all positive at the moment. Be typical Sunderland to get beat 6-0 and 7-0 and be fucked up and go home. Well, listen, mate, I want to thank you for taking the time on your day off for having this chat with me.
Always.
Obviously, we've got Luton 2 times. I think we've got them on Saturday, and then it's the following Tuesday?
Saturday,
Tuesday or Saturday, Wednesday?
Tuesday, I think.
Okay. I thought I took a picture of the I did, it was in our chat. Where are we going? I think it is Saturday, Tuesday, but there we go. Yeah, it's the 16th, which is next week, Tuesday. To be a Sunderland fan.
It's not done. We're still there.
All right, well, we will have Sean after the probably after the Tuesday game. I don't think I can. I'll be after the Tuesday game, and we'll go over both games. I'm gonna double my normal $5 charity bet for us, and I'll put 10 quid or 10 on both games. Before we disappear, good news on the points total. Anyone who saw the podcast with Dave Colquhoun, we said that if Sunderland finished 69th with 69 points, we donate £69 towards the Brandon Harry Foundation. So we're both going to chuck that in. That goes with our whopping 25 quid that we've got from the bets in the second half of the season. So they're about 100 quid better off in the next couple of weeks. And obviously we'll be donating the anything we win from the playoffs to them as well. So hopefully we've got 3 games left this season, 2 wins and a draw, and we're Premier League.
You never know. Stranger things have happened.
And then we get to continue our unbeaten run against the Mags.
There you go.
Yeah. All right, and thank you very much for joining me again. All right, folks back home, if you are enjoying this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. I always forget that at the beginning of the video. And we'll be back next week after the 2 Luton games. Until then, we're the lads.